Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today you're going to be checking out one of my favorite games of the year, and I think this video will be really fun for a bunch of people. Not only will it be fun for the people who like to see very sweaty games in certain scenarios and players who want to try and like min-max their end game experience, but also for all the players out there who want to see me play, frankly, rather lackluster vehicles, and especially lackluster vehicles at low tier. What QB actually plays low tier tanks? Yeah, I play low tier tanks when everyone on my Twitch stream votes on the poll website, and I don't get to have a say in what it's going to be when thousands of people are voting. And I always play the most popular tanks and also random tanks as well. And so it's kind of fun to play the occasional low tier vehicle and to kind of like think, okay, how do these vehicles even still work? The StuG has got so many issues with it. Huge issues on this vehicle. I'm trying to fire at the vehicles at the back, trying to hit the T1 Heavy and the Excelsior there. We're not sure if we're going to be able to hit them probably until the latter part of the game. Remember, all shells can go 720 meters, so you can fire outside the render distance of 568. If you can manage to see them on the map, or even if you can't, you can still be able to hit them. One of the ways to tell how far your shell is going as well is to ping the map. I use my T key to be able to do that. And then if you mouse over, it actually tells you how far it is until the indication. So you can actually see where the max actual shell distance would be, as it is 720. But there are so many things to hate about the StuG. There really are. How about 310 meters base view range? What you are seeing here is a StuG with vents. I'm not using a gun rammer on this tank. I know, a little bit weird, but that's because of multiple reasons on this vehicle. Number one, I just can't get enough view range to actually be able to see anything. So I'd rather use the vents on this vehicle to have the 3% extra view range, along with the 25% that I'm getting from the binoculars. Even chocolate on this vehicle, and probably Brothers in Arms, is not enough to get up to a decent mark. And that is because it has 310 base. It's absolutely appalling. So how are you meant to play a tank which has no view range, it has no real armor, has no hit points, and it doesn't have alpha damage, at least with this gun? Yeah. Basically sitting up on a hill and just hoping for luck and hoping that your opponents are going to drive out in front of you is actually a very valid tactic on this vehicle. Now, some people will like to use the 105mm derp on the StuG, but I do feel that it just doesn't really have the durability. And sure, it can play like an ambush style, but the 7 degrees of gun depression don't even make it flexible on a ridgeline, and I would question why you would even begin to want to play this when you could play something like the Semavente or the Basotto down at the tier, which is kind of like the Italian StuG, but just so much better and so much more fun to play. So what we're seeing here is just frustration, really. I'm sitting, I'm trying to go on Overwatch, I can't move, otherwise it's going to deactivate my binoculars, so I've got to keep pointing my gun in front of me. I could look around if I held down my right mouse button, but if I traverse my vehicle to the left or the right, I'm not going to have any kind of view range to spot anyone in the center. But if I get a sneaky opportunity at the Leopard, then you know, I got to take that, right? Ugh, not quite, doesn't work. Another reason to absolutely hate the StuG is it only carries 44 rounds of ammunition, and each one of the shells only deals 135 damage, meaning that you have a whopping total of 5,940 potential damage on this vehicle, which is not a lot, really. But then again, you're most likely going to perish before you get even close to firing that many shells in the StuG. So, look, this is just one of those games where just nothing really seems to be going right. We spot the Semavente, he gets into cover. We see the T67, they're now going to be in a little pile over there, and I'm just thinking, can I even manage to shoot the T67 from this angle? And it looks like I was right that I didn't look towards the left, as there's a huge rock in the way. Now the VK and the P43 are making their way across, and I just can't really react in time with this horrible gun. And so I decide, okay, cut my losses. I'm outflanked for a whopping 254 hit points dealt to the enemy team. And in the first 4 minutes of this game, it has been an absolute tragedy. So a lot of you might be thinking, QB, why are you featuring this on YouTube? You know, just go back to playing high tiers where you can be aggressive and go and get stuck in early on in the battle. Well, all right. Bear with me. So firstly, no matter how bad the battle has gone, there's one thing that you must do, and that is to never give up. I'm trying to communicate even with my artillery here to tell them to fall back. I don't want them to die. Maybe I can spot for them. Maybe the M10 can spot for us, and we can be able to hopefully set up a line of fire. Now I need to try and get far enough back here, and funnily enough, I think the Leffe is actually spotting for me, or it could be the M10 RBFM. Finally, we're going to get a tracking shot on the P-43, finish them off, and secure our first kill of the game. And unfortunately, the Leffe, who is now spotting for a tank destroyer, bit weird there, dies, but luckily that's going to allow me to pick up the kill on the VK3001H. Our team is down by 4 kills currently. There are still 8 tanks remaining on the enemy team, and we have 4 vehicles to try and deal with them. So I'm telling the M10 RBFM, I'm going to help you. The Guerrilla's firing valiantly. The T67 is now poking up. And, you know, aim time on this vehicle, not too bad. So we're just looking for a shot on the T67, but can you believe it? Even the relatively good accuracy this vehicle has of .33, even with the vents, doesn't manage to hit the first shell. But luckily, we shut down Mexicola on the enemy team in their T67, but things are still really ugly. There's 7 vehicles left on the enemy team, and with the T1 going down, this is now a 2 versus 7 scenario. So I know that I'm not going to be able to get any effective vision from this part of the map. So what I'm telling the artillery to do now is to fall back. If the artillery falls back south, I know that there is a wonderful little plateau that I can use up on the left that is going to enable me to hopefully deal with the vehicles as they try to contest the cap circle. The last thing that you also want to do when you're massively outnumbered in these situations is to stay in the same place. By relocating, getting a different angle, it can create confusion in your opponents, and especially towards the low tier where communication and reactions can be poorer. That might be all you need, is a little bit of confusion against the enemy team to give yourself a chance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock down these trees in very specific areas so that I can now have an extra bush over there, so I can be able to sit in that one as well. But I need to hurry back because there's some relatively fast vehicles on the enemy team, and I got to try and light up the enemy, sit still to get my binoculars to activate. But oh dear, the M10 RBFM has already made their way in, and unfortunately they're dealing with my Guerrilla now. So I've got to try and get forwards. I've only got 7 degrees of gun depression. Will I be able to make the shell work? Hopefully. All right, we get our first one, but we actually get spotted through the bush. This is an absolute disaster, or maybe I got spotted from the side for all I know. I put 2 into the M10 RBFM. The shell narrowly misses, and I want to try and get forwards and help my Guerrilla out because they've been such a lad for pulling back and being able to get into position. Unfortunately, the Guerrilla dies, which left me in a 1 versus 7 before we finish off the M10 RBFM, and now a 1 versus 6. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Uncle QuickyBaby here is going to be trying to contest the Colabanos medal. I have 460 hit points and the enemy have 2,800 if they still have the same amount of HP as when we spotted, or when they was last spotted in our render distance. So now we're just going to town on this T14. I pull back, well, I pull forwards into the bush to spot through the bush and then pull back behind the bush to be able to fire at him without being spotted, and it's working out well. The T14 is trying to blind fire us, but it doesn't seem to be enough with his marksmanship, and I'm really happy with that. I just got 5 shots in for free, but I don't want to stay static. I don't want to be proxy spotted. I want to try and keep the enemy team guessing and try and attack them from different angles. As soon as that T14 gets up and proxy spots me underneath the gun line, it's going to be easy pickings for the Excelsior, the KV-1, or the 2 self-propelled guns on the enemy team. So we're going to instead flank, change the angle, and see if we can deal with our opponents from a different area. So we've got 5 kills right now, but we're going to have to get 5 more if we want to take down this 1 versus 7, and that would be pretty sweet, seeing if we could contest for the Pools medal as well. So we're going to go forwards into the bush. I wonder if I'm going to get spotted in this scenario. I actually don't. But I need to get rid of this Excelsior. I'm going to put 1 into them, but now I'm going to reset the cap circle, which will give me a little bit of extra time. And you guessed it, what are we going to do again? We're going to change angles. And this is where the turbo on this vehicle is hopefully going to pay dividends for us. But also got to be careful because I think that the Excelsior could be making his way towards us. And I thought, well, if I swing up here, maybe I can still get that Excelsior before he manages to isolate us. And while we lose our engine, luckily some quick reactions get us back moving again before the T14 finishes us off. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to fake. What I'm going to do is going to pretend I'm making my way over towards this bush, but I think I'm going to probably turn around here because, again, I don't want to be proxy spotted by that T14, which has a turret that could easily be able to be a nightmare on a ridgeline. What I want to do is, again, bait that I'm going to be in that position. Maybe the T14 hesitates and he doesn't want to come around the corner, and I can go for the KV-1. And I did realize that I spotted the artillery, but I knew the artillery wouldn't see me in this situation, and the artillery isn't the focus for me right now. The focus has to be to get into position to get rid of the KV-1. I think stopping to engage that artillery would be a tremendous misplay because I've only got 31 seconds left to be able to get rid of this KV-1, and I might need every second that I possibly can to make my way up this slope and go after him. And I think it was a really good choice. I could have got baited into wasting 10-15 seconds there against the KV-1 and losing the battle. Now I'm going to make my way over the ridge. The KV-1 still thinks I am where I last was. They don't react very well to this scenario, and now we've changed our 1 versus 7 into a 1 versus 3. And we've demolished half of the enemy team, but we're going to have to demolish a few more if we want to be able to take down the one that everybody wants, the Kalabanos medal, and also a cheeky, I think you get Pools medal at tier 5. Probably. I think it's tier 5 plus to be able to get a Pools medal. But we'll have to see. If, of course, I manage to get those 10 kills, right? So the T-14 is spotted, and I'm not going to fire here. Oh, I am. I think that was a misplay, because I'm not actually spotted unless I fire there. And I think that was a poor decision to engage the T-14. I know you want to try and take all the shots you can, but when I've only got 4 armor-piercing rounds and 9 APCR rounds, I think this was a big misplay. What I'm going to realize now, though, is that if he didn't spot me in the last position, he won't be spotting me in this position unless I fire. So I've already learned from that mistake that I made, and instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself into a position where hopefully I can have a cleaner shot. Because every time I'm going to fire, unless I'm behind a bush or behind a tree, I'm going to reveal my position, and that is taking a lot of chances with the enemy self-propelled guns. So what I'm going to do is make my way over, sit still, hold your right mouse button if you don't want to mess up the left and the right, activate my binoculars, see that we don't get any more vision on the T-14, and realize I have to pursue. There's 2 self-propelled guns on the enemy team. There's only 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the game, and what I see so many people do when to lose endgame scenarios like this is they don't stay focused on the time. And so we're going to hunt the T-14. He was trying to flank us, trying to get behind us. We put 1 into them, bounce a gold round from the T-14 and finish them off. And now it's move, 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 move. Avoid taking, hopefully, the artillery fire. The Griller is spotted above us. I've got to be careful with the amount of shells that I have. I'm going to need at least 3 to be able to get rid of this Griller, and I'm going to need at least 3 to be able to get rid of the other tank. And I've only got 11 shells left in the vehicle. Luckily, 1 flies true. I'm going to put the second one into the dirt, and oh, only 9 shells left now to deal with 447 hit points on the enemy team. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 2,600 damage and 8 kills in a tier 5 StuG in a 1 versus 7 scenario. This is the mother of all comebacks, and we wouldn't have been able to get into this position if it wasn't for the Griller on our team, and hopefully we can manage to take this down. In this scenario, I just got to be aggressive. Got to let the chips fall where they may. There's got to be no intelligence here. The Griller misses me, has the 122A, had a shell at me as well. We put 1 in. Hopefully we're not going to low roll this shell, and 2 high rolls in a row. Slam us down this game, and we get GG's in chat from the T1 Heavy. This was one of my favorite games of 2023 because it was just the perfect 1 versus 7 where we kept moving, we kept our opponents thinking, and while we were dealing with some low health tanks on the enemy team, most of those enemy vehicles were full health vehicles that we had to grind down 1 by 1 by 1. And now I know, like, somebody who's played 100,000 games of World of Tanks shouldn't be so proud of 1v7ing in a tier 5 tank. But come on, it's a StuG. This thing isn't really meant to do things like that. If I'd been in a T67 or I'd been in a T1 Heavy or something OP like that, and they'd all just driven at me rather than having to flank and be a little bit sneaky, I probably wouldn't be so happy about it. But boy, at the time, did this feel like one of the most awesome adrenaline rushes in World of Tanks. So unfortunately, none of those blind shots managed to hit. This was 3,100 damage, giving us 1,527 base experience, enough to get an ace tanker for the StuG. Our 10 kills give us the Pools medal. We stood alone against at least 5, in this case 7, to get the one that everybody wants, the Kolobanov's medal. Pascucci's for dealing with the 2 self-propelled guns, and a Defender for protecting that cap circle multiple times, and a high caliber for that 3,000 damage dealt. And while we ran out of standard rounds rounds and we had to fire some gold, we still make a profit in this game. So ladies and gents, boys and girls, there you have it. Never give up in World of Tanks, and irrelevant of how bad of a start in the battle you may have had, do everything that you can to give yourself a chance of finish strong, and boy, at least one time in 100 or 1,000, it might work out for you. Anyway, I hope all of you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new drop tokens so you can get closer to the Eagle or alternatively the Epic Styles. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.